Okay, welcome to Sacred Account Saturday. Good to see everyone here today. My name is Jerry Fetta. I'm the owner, founder, and CEO of a company called Wealth Dynamics. And I'm just getting my handy dandy pen stylus here. Today, we're going to be going over an awesome topic. Okay, I'm very excited about this. Okay, I want to talk about the tool, the financial tool that separates the wealthy from the rest, right? And there's one specific thing that I've pinpointed that I've used in my own life. My clients have used it. I'm going to go over that today and what it is and how it works. Now, before I get started, first things first, I want you to take a minute. I want you to pick out your purpose for being here, your reason for being here. I'm about to add a ton of value to you over the next hour, information that I'm going to give you for free today, in the hopes to help you, right? Now, I can't help someone that doesn't have a reason for being here. Like if it's like, I don't have a reason to get here, be here and be helped, like nothing I say is going to really make an impact, right? So if you could do me a favor and have that purpose picked out, what is it that you're trying to get, right? What are you trying to learn today? What part of your life are you trying to change and improve? And what would you like to make happen as a result of this webinar? So that's the first thing. The second thing is I want you to remove completely the idea that money and finances are complicated. They can't be learned, that we need, financial planners and CPAs and specialized, letters behind our names in order to know anything. That's not true either, right? So if you're on this webinar today, it's because you want to learn about finances. And one of the reasons that people don't learn about finances, they don't think they can. And so if there's something that I can't do or it's not worth doing, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to be like, yeah, there's no point, right? Back to that purpose thing. And one of those purposes is, okay, I realize I can learn, so I want to. Okay. On that point, though, we have to remove the condition of know-it-all, right? There's no such thing as someone that knows everything. Okay. The only people that truly are know-it-alls, if you think about it, are the idiots, the ones that, like before anyone makes a grandiose mistake in life, they thought they knew they were doing the right thing before. Very few times are people like, this is a terrible idea, yet I'm going to do it anyways. Most of the time, we thought it was a good thing. We're like, well, I didn't know it was going to turn out this bad, right? And then it does. So removing the idea that I know it all, I've heard this already. Like a lot of times with learning and education, when we hear something one time, we think, okay, yeah, I got it. Well, if we don't have results in that area, we don't have it. Right. So that's something to really make sure we've got understood is I'm learning. I'm going to hear maybe some new things. I'm going to hear some repeat things. For me personally, when I listen to someone that's more successful than I am, or they're winning in an area and they repeat something, to me, I always ask myself, why? Why would that person take the time to say that thing another time? A third time, a fourth time, a fifth time? Why would they do that if it's not something that they really wanted to emphasize and they're really just trying to drive the point home? So as I'm talking today, I want you to be asking yourself, why is Jerry saying what he's saying? How does that apply? Okay, what's really behind that? How do I get like the as much as I can out of each concept? Okay, so those are the first three. Second thing is on this point, you're going to be getting a couple of chat DMs from people on my team. There are 3 people on this webinar that are going to reach out to you. Okay, we have Rodrigo Torres and we have Bree Shaw. Bree and Rodrigo are both ambassadors on my team. And so they are mentors to clients. They're working with clients on their finances on a one-on-one basis. And so one of their jobs today and one of their goals is to reach out to you and schedule a free coaching call. Okay, a free appointment one-on-one with you and them where they can help you with your finances. Okay, whether you're an existing client, whether you're a new client, we want to have you guys scheduling these calls with them and giving as much value as you can. I want to make sure that we really get that across. Give, give, give. That's the point of today. Okay, so they're going to be reaching out. So if you get a message from Brianna, you get a message from Rodrigo, that's what those 2 are up to. Don't be that weird person that sees their message and pretends like you didn't get it. And I will call on people once in a while throughout the webinar today to make sure you do respond, because it's important to me that we take this from just a 45-minute learning experience to something we actually like walk away from and apply today. Okay, so that's a point there. The other person who's going to be reaching out is going to be Joe. Joe Spazic is a staff on our team as well. And Joe is going to be sending you a link to get a free book today. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen so you can see the book here. This is my book, Blueprint to Financial Freedom. Okay, Blueprint to Financial Freedom. Right now, if you go to jerryfetta.com/B2F promo, you can get a free copy of this right now. You cover the shipping, we'll send the book out to you. Right now, here's why I wrote this book, and here's why I want to make sure by the end of this webinar, if you don't have the book, you get it today, is we spend our entire lives working for money. That's the point of having a job. Right? Our entire lives working for money. Now, beyond just that, what I experienced was prior to getting a job, I spent my entire childhood learning, going through school so that I could get a job, right? So from age, 5 to 18, we're going through like, preschool and then grade school and elementary school and, middle school and high school. Why? So that we can get good grades, so that we can go to college, right? That's the idea, is we should all go to college. That's what everyone says. Why? So you can get a diploma and a certificate that says you graduated, so that you can get a good job. We're being trained and conditioned to go be good workers. Nothing wrong with that. I love good workers. I'm a good worker. I'm sure many of you are good workers. The problem is why are we working? We're working to get a paycheck. That paycheck is money. So the entire time from the age of 5, we're basically being groomed to go get income. And at no point do they teach us, what do you do once you get it? Think about that. That's literally insanity. Okay, there are like when I look at like the things in life that don't make sense, that's at the top of the list. Why in the world would we have people go through a school system of basic through higher education, basically till they're in their mid-20s, to earn income, and then never once teach them how to do something smart with the income? We're never going to teach them how to build wealth. We're never going to teach them how to invest. We're never going to teach them how to reduce their taxes. We're never going to teach them how to save. To me, that makes zero sense. So I spent, my childhood struggling with money and finances. And my parents, if you know my backstory, my mom and dad got divorced from each other, I think 3 times. And every single time it was over finances. Okay, they would have these giant fights and arguments, and then it was always over money. And then eventually they would split up, and then they'd be like, oh no, we're better together. And then they would turn out they weren't. They'd get back together, they'd split up again. But the third one, I was like, yeah, you guys like, I don't think this is a good idea. We already know what's going to happen, right? So this is something that I experienced. And then as I got older, I was like, yeah, I'm going to opt out of the money system. I'm not doing this, right? So when we're building our financial futures, there's 3 routes we can take: poverty, denial, and wealth. Every single one of us is on one of those paths right now, whether we realize it or not. And there's no such thing as an accident. This has something to do with the actions we're doing. So you might not be aware of it. I might not be aware of it, but I'm like, for me, I grew up in poverty. Okay, I wasn't like, oh, I chose poverty. Well, I was born into it, and that's where I stayed for a while. Right, but when I realized I was on that track, I didn't know there was another one I could go into other than the denial. The denial is the entire middle class. The idea that, we're going to impress our neighbors with fancy cars, and we're going to try and, spend money on things that we don't need, with money that we don't have, to impress people that we don't like. Okay, we're going to go to Olive Garden every weekend and drive our 2 German vehicles and have our white picket fence in the backyard and post a sign for who we voted for, because that matters so much in life. Right? That's denial. All the while, the banks and Wall Street and credit card companies and the IRS, they're sucking the life out of us. Okay, we're slaving away Monday to Friday. Oh, thank God it's Friday. Oh God, it's Monday. That's the lifestyle for people who are in denial. Right? And so denial, we have to get out of that. And the way that you get out of that is you either go poverty, which is what I did. I looked at the denial thing and I was like, yeah, I choose poverty. Okay, I don't want that. I don't want to pretend. Like I'm not a pretender. Right? So I was like, yeah, I'm going to choose poverty. And so by the time I was 19 years old, I was newlywed and homeless. Right? Like the poverty thing, like it's a downward spiral. When you go that route, you're going to keep going down. There's not a way to get prosperous being poor. Hate to break it to you. I hate to be the one to tell you this on your fine Saturday morning, but that's not how it works. Okay? Just like in the denial, there's not a way to accidentally build wealth. Unless you win the lottery, or you marry money, or you have an inheritance, or something crazy like that happens, right? But the chances of that occurring are slim to none. I wouldn't be, betting my financial freedom on a Cinderella story. So I spent, a number of years being in the poverty and the denial thing. And then I finally realized, like, the key to this is abundance. I need to have so much in my financial resources that I don't consider money. Right? Like I can travel and not worry about how much it costs. I can give money away and not worry about how much I have left. I can go out to dinner or breakfast with my family and not worry about the check. I can tip the waiter and not think about, oh, can I afford that? Right? And you have to realize, for me, this was such a different mindset. I was a kid that when I grew up, like the price of gas was a big deal in my universe. Oh, no, gas went up 5 cents today. Right? Who's had that? Maybe you still have that. Oh, what up 5 cents today? It doesn't matter. Right? Like you find, the gas went up, good. Go earn 5 cents more income. right? That's the solution. Like, go earn more. So wealth, abundance, and prosperity in all dynamics of life, which sounds great, but it's expensive, and we need to fund that. Not only do we need to fund that, we need to have availability of our time to actually enjoy it. And that's why I want you to have the book, because most people, they don't even know how to get there. So this is a route, a step-by-step guide toward achieving passive income that exceeds savings, expenses, and taxes, right? So at the point where I have passive income that exceeds savings, expenses, and taxes, I do not have to trade time for money anymore. That obligation is gone. Here's the issue if I don't give there. I could give you, $1 million tomorrow, and if you don't know what to do with it, you're going to run out of it pretty soon, and you're still going to have to go to work, and you will have the time to enjoy it. Right? Let's say that money wasn't an object for you, it wasn't a thing. Well, if you don't have the ability to recreate it, right, and you use up that pool, then you don't really have true financial independence, do you? Right? And so that's the thing is, okay, I've got to have enough money to actually live a life of abundance and prosperity in all areas, in all dynamics, and also have the amount of time available to enjoy that. Not be like, okay, 6 hours a week, I've got this available. Or, on Friday evening and Saturday and then Sunday, I get to enjoy my life. The rest of the time, I don't. That's not what it's about. That's not a life of abundance and prosperity in all areas. Right? I want to be in control of my time, of my action, what I do, where I go, how I do it. I want to control all that stuff. Right? I heard an influencer yesterday, and he said, if you want freedom, you have to give up control. If you want control, you have to give up freedom. I think that's false. Okay, I think that if you want freedom, you have to control more. There's more things that I need to have knowledge and responsibility over in order to have control so I can have freedom. Right? Like, real freedom doesn't mean freedom from everything and I don't have to do anything. Real freedom means I can do anything. I have the ability to do everything. I have the potential to do everything. One of our slogans here at Wealth Dynamics is own your potential. Owner, what does own it? What does own mean? It's yours. Yours and no one else's. What's your potential? What you're capable of. Okay, that's represented by what you do with your time and the results you achieve in your life. And a lot of that is measured by the condition of the things, people, and objects around you. So if I own my potential, that means I'm in control of all that. Right. And so this book, I put this together to show how do you get there. And this is not my information. I spent over a decade of my life in the financial services industry, working with people like Grant Cardone, Dave Ramsey, Pamela Yellen. I spent hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, like into the hundreds and thousands, researching top 1%ers. People like John Rockefeller, people like J.C. Penney, people like Teddy Roosevelt, people like J.P. Morgan, people like Andrew Carnegie, right? What did they actually do? Not what are we told they're doing by financial advisors, not what does Elon Musk's Twitter feed say, not what did I read on a Reddit post. What are the wealthy actually doing and not in present time? Guys, we have to get over this, like, who's the latest and greatest? Because the latest and greatest, they could fail tomorrow, and if we're on their path following them, we could fail with them. I want to study old, dead, wealthy people. Why old? Because I want a long track record of what works. Why dead? Because if they're dead, they've already finished the race. If they messed it up, I know that I don't need to study that part. Or if I do, I can study the what not to do category, right? So I've got the whole outlay to go after. And then why wealthy? Because they achieved it. They achieved it. We hear about top 1%. Did you realize, and it's going to blow you guys' mind, there are 330 million some odd Americans, right? So top 1% means that there's at least 3.3 million people in the country that have figured this out. Okay, there's also 330 million chickens in the United States. I don't know if you knew that statistic. That's also true. Okay, so what's the difference between you and a chicken? A chicken doesn't have this information. Like, literally, guys, you think I'm kidding. Like, if I don't know finances and I don't understand this, I might as well be one of the chickens. Right? Give me my food, make sure I'm taken care of, let me do my thing, don't bother me too much. That's a chicken. Right? There's almost a 1-to-1 ratio of chickens and United States citizens. And for the majority of them, if they're not in control of their finances, they may as well be a goddamn chicken. Think about that. Okay, so I don't want you to be a chicken. I want you to be powerful. I want you to be wealthy. I want you to have a life of abundance and prosperity in all areas, and not just be looking for little scraps of corn and garbage on the ground and eating worms and hoping you get left alone. Okay, so that's what I want to go over. Now, today, here's our topic. And again, guys, if you're being reached out to in the comments, I just want to reintroduce the concept of Rodrigo and Brianna in the comments. Okay, so one of the things that I want to have happen is they're going to reach out to you They're going to offer you a copy of the book that we're going to go over today, Blueprints of Financial Freedom. They're going to set up a free coaching call with you. So I want you to give them your phone number and say, hey, I would like to set up a time. Okay. If you get a message from Joe, same thing. Joe's trying to help you get the book, right? You're not going to change your life in a 45-minute webinar. It's going to take daily change, daily knowledge, daily information. Okay. So anytime there's something in my life, whether I'm successful at it or not, if I'm not successful at it, it's even more urgent. Okay. I look at something called knowledge, responsibility, and control. Okay. This is something I learned from my church, knowledge, responsibility, and control. And if I go backwards on something and I start at control, if I don't have control of something, it means that to that degree, I lack responsibility for that area. Think about that. If I am not in control of my vehicle, it means I'm not responsible for what's happening in the car. I'm not the one at cause. Either nobody is or someone else is. If I'm not in control of my finances and I'm in debt, I'm not earning enough, I'm not saving money, first of all, I have to decide that bothers me. I'm not okay with that. I'm not going to live that way. I'm better. I think enough of myself not to continue that lifestyle. Okay, I talked to someone about a week ago. He somehow got on my calendar for a coaching call, said I have all this debt and I'm not saving money and this and that, and it's so bad and I need so much help. I said, good. Let's sign you up for a sacred account. Immediately, all the reasons I can't. Well, I don't have the money, and there's a fee you charge to set it up, and I need to wait, and what about this and what about that? And I finally was like, look, dude, this either matters to you or it doesn't. Okay, if it doesn't, why are we even here? Why are we talking about this? Why did you even book on my calendar? You're talking to the CEO of the company, and you're telling me you're too chicken to start improving your finances. Right? I would be more worried about what's going to happen if I don't start today. Okay, the continual progression of bad behavior and lack of knowledge. Right? So knowledge, control, responsibility. So if I don't have control of something, it means that I lack responsibility in that area. Guess what the neat thing is about responsibility? You can assume it. I can just decide I'm going to be responsible for my finances and then start doing it. Right? Now, if I lack the responsibility, I do need to go get knowledge. I need to go get education. It's easier to be responsible for something that I've studied about, I've seen videos about, I've learned about it, I've got some familiarity with it. That's how it works. So I get the knowledge so that I can be responsible, so that I can be in control of the area. That's how I get ability. I want to be able to have financial freedom. Good. What do I need to learn? Where do I need to increase my responsibility? And what points or elements do I need to control? Okay. So I want to talk today about the idea of funding a life of abundance and prosperity in all areas. We have a product called the Sacred Account. Jennifer's asking a question about the Sacred Account. We're going to go over how that works today. Okay. So the Sacred Account is a form of whole life insurance, right? And I'm going to teach you how it works. I'm going to teach you how I've used it, how the wealthy use it, and a couple of different strategies today. Again, just totally packed with value for you. But I want to just point out the title, Whole Life Insurance, right? You're going to fund your whole life with this thing. Right? And it's going to last your whole life. Okay, one of the fundamental concepts of the whole life insurance is we're actually getting rid of banks. We're becoming our own bank. Think about how much you do in your life that revolves around a bank. Right? If we think about it, you get paid. Where does your paycheck immediately go? 3 places. Okay, 3 places everyone's paycheck, almost everyone's paycheck immediately goes. Okay, number 1 is the IRS. They take their taxes out before you even find out you're getting paid or how much, right? They're going to take their cut. Okay, the second place generally is Wall Street. It's going to go into your 401k or your 403b or your retirement plan at work. And then once you get the leftovers, realize it's your income and you're getting the leftovers. That's why I said, what's the difference between you and a chicken? When we had chickens, when I was little, guess what we fed them? Leftovers. You had leftover food? Oh, go throw it out to the chickens. They'll eat it. Right? That's not the life. Like, you guys got to think more about yourselves to be like, I don't want the leftovers. I'm done with leftovers. Okay, I want to choose. I want to have it the way I want to have it, right? So we have the leftovers, and where do those leftovers go? If you're on direct deposit with your employer, that goes directly into a bank. Okay, and then what happens? Your mortgage comes out, your car payment comes out, your credit card comes out. You might put some money more again to Wall Street. You start paying your bills. When you spend money, every single time you swipe your credit card, you're either paying interest or you're paying merchant fees at the point of sale software that they're using. right? The bank touches everything. So the idea of breaking, free financially and funding a life of abundance and prosperity in all areas, I have to assume the position of the bank. I need to become my own bank. Okay, so how do we go about doing that? So this is a concept called the sacred account. Okay, the sacred account. So it's high, early, cash value, dividend paying, whole life insurance. That's the title. That's what it is. Okay, let's talk about what it does, right? So the first thing it does is it is a savings account. It's like a savings account, a savings vehicle. I'm going to save money into this thing, right? Instead of using the bank, instead of using the 401k, instead of overpaying on my taxes so I get a refund at the end of the year, right? I don't want to do any of those things. I want to put money in this vehicle. Here's the reason why. Okay, first, guaranteed. I'm just going to abbreviate here, against loss. Guaranteed growth. Protected from taxes. It's protected from creditors. It is protected from lawsuits. It protects my privacy. It's a one-way contract between me and the insurance company. What do I mean by that? So when I take a policy loan, we'll talk about this in a second. So actually we'll borrow from this life insurance policy rather than withdrawing. And I'm going to talk about why that is in a second. But when I put money in, take money out, they're not reporting this to the IRS, right? They're not reporting this to some, government oversight agency or sharing with marketing companies. Okay, Wall Street and the banks do. When you put money with the bank, if it's over a certain amount, they red flag the transaction, they report everything to everybody. Same thing with Wall Street. I want my privacy protected. Okay, in 2020, people, all these people bought crypto, a lot of them. One of the big things was privacy. Oh, it's totally encrypted, it's private, right? Until people started getting hacked and losing the crypto. Then it's like, how private was that? Your life insurance can't get hacked, right? Privacy, like I want to think of, I want a big protection unit over my finances. So this is all protection right here. Guaranteed against loss, that's protection. Guaranteed growth, that's protection, believe it or not. That's protecting you from not having growth. Compounding interest doesn't work if I'm not growing or if I have a down year or if I pull money out, right? Protected from taxes, it's protected from creditors, it's protected from lawsuits, it's protected from privacy. It's even protected from death. What do I mean by that? Because it's life insurance, it has a death benefit. It is whole life insurance. It's going to last your whole life, meaning either you die and it pays out to someone, whoever you elect, or you're turning 121 years old and the insurance company is actually going to give you the death benefit while you're still alive. They're like, dude, good job. I don't know how you did it. You lived till 121. Here's all the money tax-free, even though you haven't died yet. So no matter what, you're going to get a death benefit. It's protected against death. Right? Think about we're all going to die. I think it was Benjamin Franklin said that the two things that are certainties are death and taxes. When you put money into a whole life policy, into the sacred account, you never pay taxes on it again. We've solved that one. And then death, we've solved that one now too. Right? Ben Franklin was a smart dude. We just solved this problem. And that's why people if you look at this, people like Teddy Roosevelt had sacred accounts. Okay, JCPenney, you guys have seen JCPenney, he had a sacred account. He actually used his sacred account to stay in business so that he could expand JCPenney into what it is today. Ray Kroc, he had a sacred account. He borrowed from his life insurance policy to start McDonald's. Walt Disney started Disneyland with a loan from his life insurance policy. Foster Farms, Stanford University, Pampered Chef. Joe Biden even has 6 of them. Not saying I endorse the guy or not, and I probably think he forgot about the first 5 and signed up for more, but he still has 6 of them, right? Like we're looking at this, this is a track record. You know who else has a sacred account? Over 3,000 of the largest banks in the United States of America right now. Over $200 billion collectively is what they're keeping in this. See, I had someone ask me last week, Jerry, why don't more people know about this? Okay, I'm not into the more people. The more people that do something, generally it means it's a worse idea. If the masses are doing it, it's not a good idea. Think about it. The music the masses listen to. I accidentally was listening to the radio too much a few weeks ago. Guys, they play the same 12 songs every single day. They mix it up and throw some commercials, and people are like, this is good music. That's the masses. If the masses are doing it, you shouldn't be. Think about the food most people eat. Like if most people do it, it's probably a bad idea. So when I hear only 1% of the population is doing this, I'm interested. Less people are doing it, that's a good thing. Now the question is which people, right? And when I hear, oh, it's 1%, it's less people, and it's also the most successful people in the country, that's the group I want to be in. What are they doing and why? I want to learn about it. Do you see the mindset there? It's not, oh, this is not what I'm used to. This isn't how I was raised. This isn't what my financial advisor says. It's let's look at who's winning with it. Let's look at the stats. Let's look at the stats and let's do what works. And I'm telling you, this is what works. Okay, so protected from death. The other benefits here. So you actually get ownership in the insurance company. Right? You don't get ownership in the bank when you deposit money there. You don't get ownership in Wall Street when you buy their mutual funds. They're giving you ownership. So one of my strategies is I see like, and I'm actually starting a nonprofit organization to prevent this. I see financial fraud and dishonesty perpetrated on American citizens, mass scale. 2008 was done on purpose. When I say that, the mortgage crisis, right? The mortgage crisis, that was done on purpose. Those banks knew that that was going to collapse and they were selling it to investors and they were pushing it to make a quick buck, knowing that it was going to collapse at any moment. That was done on purpose. That's fraud. Okay, the tech bubble, that was done on purpose as well. That's fraud. Almost any market crash you look at, it was done on purpose to some degree. There were people on top who have control and they say, good, we can make a bunch of money at the expense of the little guy. That's fraud. Do you guys remember in 2020, as the stock market crashed, some of the largest CEOs of the largest companies in America resigned from their positions and cashed out their stock options? Okay, now I can't call that one fraud because it's legal, but I don't think it's right. And then what do they tell you? Oh, buy low, it's going to go back up. Yeah, it does go back up. You buy low, you fill the water back up in the pool. It's called market displacement. Then all the wealthy people get out and take your money. The water goes back down. Right? So this is what people need help with. There's financial fraud. There's lack of education. There's misleading people. So I'm starting a nonprofit organization this year to provide preventative education and also relief to those that are the victims of these things. Okay, something can be done about it. But from an individual standpoint, my own personal knowledge is the prevention here. So how do I prevent myself from being taken advantage of? I put myself in a position where I own the company with the company so that if they screw me over, they're screwing themselves over. We're partners. You see, I'm not a client. I'm not buying something from them. I'm literally buying equity ownership in the insurance company. So whatever they do to me, they're going to do to themselves. That's how I protect myself. Okay, like they're not gonna shoot me because they shoot themselves along with me and they don't want to experience that. So why would they do it? Okay, so these are all benefits. The money is fully allocated, meaning it's actually there, right? Unlike the bank, when you put money in a bank, it gets loaned out. Did you know that they do something called fractional reserve banking? So when you deposit income into a bank, that bank takes your deposits and they loan it out. Okay, right now the reserve requirement on how much of your money they've got to actually keep is 0%. They do not have to keep a cent of your money on hand. They loan it out to other people for mortgages, car loans, credit cards. They can invest in foreign currency markets. They can do day trading. They can buy stock, right? So they're making bunches and bunches of money on your money and paying us what, 0.2% interest? The money's not there. Like, it's like me saying, hey, like I own a car storage facility. You can keep your car with me. And then I take your car out of the garage and rent it out on Turo to other people and don't tell you about it. I'm putting your asset at risk. Do you see that? So I want to get out of that system. The sacred account's fully allocated. It's insured as well, meaning that the company, the insurance company itself is insured against insolvency, right? At a greater rate than the FDIC for that matter, right? So these are all benefits. These are features that I get, right? This is what it does. Now, here's why it's better. I'm just going to scoot this over a little bit and I'm going to sketch this out for you guys. Traditionally, you do what? You put your money in a bank, right? So you got your dollars, stick it in a bank, right? We got the bank. They're going to pay you about 0.01 or maybe 0.02%. 0.01, not 0.02 to 0.02%. Let me fix that. They're going to pay you 0.1 to 0.02%. That's not what I was going for either. There we go. Okay, so they're paying you this. right? They're a middleman. They're going to take your money and they're going to do loans. They're going to do investments. And they're going to make profit on your dollars, right? A lot of profit, right? Think about if you do something just as little as a car loan, right? So a car loan, we look at the math on this. I'm just going to give you guys an example here. So the average savings rate, I think my buddy Michael last week told me right now it sits about 0.24%. Okay. So he sits on the board of some different banks. As he said, right now it's about 0.24%. I think mine at Bank of America is actually even lower than that. But let's go ahead and say he's right, 0.24%, right? So let's say that they loan this money out on a car loan at 6%. 6% divided by 0.24% is a 25x return on the cost of interest they've got to pay you. Now they can do this over and over and over. They can loan out a 10-to-1 ratio for every dollar you put in. So what's 25 times 10? 250 times on your dollars. Do you see that? And then they're paying you 0.24%. You're getting ripped off here. Okay. Now, this is what most people are doing. Like, I'm not giving you some grandiose, outlandish, like, oh, this is a real, no, this is what probably 90% of people are doing right now. And they think it's a good idea. Why? Because of marketing, promotion, right? You hear something enough, it becomes the truth. Okay. So we get rid of this. We're not going to do this. There's no advantage to here. So we do the sacred account instead, right? It's not like I'm trying to convince you guys to stop doing something that's good for you. It's like you're going to McDonald's every day and I'm like, hey, you should eat more vegetables. It's not a hard sell, right? Like if you don't want to do it, good. Like have fun with health problems, right? But you should really reform it and you should clean it up and you should take care of yourself. So with the sacred account, I put $1 in. Instead of it going to the bank as a middleman and then the bank loaning it out and doing all the stuff, what it does is it goes into my insurance policy, okay? Where my money has all these protections, right? And it's going to grow at 3 to 5% per year, tax-free on average. It's called a compounding annual growth rate, CAGR, right? So I'm earning 3 to 5% on my dollar. Right now, whether it's $1 or $1,000 or 100,000 or $1 million, doesn't matter. The money that I put in has all of these protections, and I'm going to experience about an average 3 to 5% annual rate of growth for the rest of my life. Realize it's a whole life policy. It's going to be enforced till I die or I turn 121 years old. This is a guarantee, guys, a contractual guarantee. Now, the guarantee is only as good as the guarantor. The companies we work with have been doing this consistently for 150 to 200 years now in a row. They haven't lost. They've always paid out. They've kept all their guarantees. So it's one thing for someone to be brand new and be like, I guarantee blah. That's no different than a politician. It's like, that's cute, but I'll believe it when I see it. It's another thing for someone to be like, hey, I have done this for the last 170 years in a row, and I'm saying I can continue doing it. And then I'm like, okay, yeah, now I believe you. Right? So my money is going to grow at 3 to 5%. Now, while it is growing, I can borrow 70 to 90% of what I have in here growing. Right? Now, why would I borrow? Let's talk about this for a second. We've been conditioned by banks that we should only borrow money we don't have to buy things that we don't need. What do I mean by that? You get a car loan. That's usually money you don't have. That's the reason you get a loan, to buy something you don't need. Usually you don't actually need the new car. I get it. I almost fell into it. I almost bought a new Porsche last week. Like the new Taycan, I was like, that thing's sick. I could totally do that. And I was like, yeah, no, that's a bad idea. Right? So we borrow money that we don't have to buy things that we don't need. Why don't we need them? Because they're not assets. They're not moving the ball forward for us in life. They're not giving us more financial independence and freedom. They're actually lessening it. Think about the car payment. That's reducing your financial freedom. It's not gaining it, it's reducing it. You now have a liability and a monthly payment, and you're paying interest. And you're connected with a suppressive organization. Guys, banks are not your friends. I'm not saying that the cashier up in the front, Mindy over there who's 17 years old and she's, doing her first job as a cashier at the bank. I'm not saying she has evil eyes and wants to steal your identity and, hack you up into little pieces behind her house and put you in the shed. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying that those who run the banks are not good people. They're not looking out for your best interests. They're the ones who caused 2008. They're the ones who said, yep, these people are ignorant, stupid, and fat. Let's take advantage of them. Right? Not the little cashier girl at the front, the people who are running the corporations. Okay, so we're going to borrow 70 to 90%. That's what we can do. Why would we borrow? Well, first of all, we have a growing asset here. As an investor, there are two things that I never want to have happen with an asset if it's productive. Okay, so the first thing is that I never want to lose the asset. I can lose it involuntarily, right? Where I have loss, like the market went down or the real estate crashed or the whatever, right? So that's an involuntary loss. Then there's what's called a voluntary loss. A voluntary loss means I sold it myself. Okay, now hear me out here. If it was an accident, I understand. I wasn't planning it. Like I can deal with that for a little while. You weren't educated. I put it in crypto. I did whatever, and I wasn't expecting this thing and it lost money. Okay, but when you're like, I had the asset and I sold it, I got rid of it on purpose. Why? Why? We're trying to build more assets. Why would we get rid of them on purpose? That makes no sense. Right? So I never want to get rid of an asset. I never want to lose an asset. So when I borrow, I don't lose the asset because it's still there growing. What does that mean? It's still producing this even while I'm borrowing against it. I'm earning 3 to 5% on my money still on this entire dollar while I borrow this 70 to 90%. And the reason I'm earning this 3 to 5% is my actual dollar never left. The insurance company is loaning me the equivalent value of 70 to 90% against what I have in there because I'm an owner. I don't need a credit check. They're not going to run my background, none of that. They're going to say, yeah, you're an owner, you need the money. Cool, we'll have it to you in a few days. Say I'm borrowing 70 to 90%. The second reason that I borrow is the second thing I always hate having with investments and assets, which is taxes. If I have an asset that grows and I sell that thing at a gain, I'm going to pay taxes. The IRS is going to say, hey, you made money, we need a cut. Okay, do you know what the IRS cannot tax? Loans. They can't tax loans. Right? This is not a new strategy. People have been doing this forever. You buy an asset that grows, you borrow against it so that it keeps growing, so that while I'm using it, it's still growing. And when I pay myself back, there's more money than I started with. That's awesome. And also, I can't ever be taxed. The IRS can never touch this. Elon Musk did this last year. He borrowed against his stock, and the IRS and Congress and all these people made a big deal about it. It's not a taxable deal. You can't tax a loan. Right? Apple has their headquarters and their franchises set up where their headquarters is in Ireland, and then the rest of it's in the US because Ireland at the time was a tax haven. So they borrow money from Ireland to put it into the US so they don't have to pay the taxes. You see? So I don't want to lose the asset. I don't want to pay taxes. That's why I borrow. Now, when I borrow, it will cost me money. If I set this up correctly, my net effective cost of interest will be about 1 to 3% per year long term. Okay, now check this out. Let's just call this 2%. 1 to 3 is 2 in the middle. Let's just call this 4%. 3 to 5 is 4, right? So I'm earning 4, I'm paying 2. Now I'm earning 4% on $1. I'm paying 2% on 70 to 90 cents. Already there's a spread. I'm earning 4 on the entire dollar. I'm only paying interest on part of the dollar. Do you see that? Now, the other thing is I'm only paying 2% interest. Guys, what's 4 minus negative 2? Or 4 minus 2, just we'll say 4 minus 2, 2%. So I'm actually making a positive 2% spread to go use my own money. Think about what I just said. I want to buy a car. I put the money in my life insurance first. I then borrow against it to buy the car. My dollar still grows in my life insurance policy like it never left because it didn't actually ever leave. And I'm making about 4% a year on average over the long haul. I'm paying about 2% a year on average in interest cost to borrow. And my money keeps compounding at 2% the entire time, like it never left with that net difference. I keep the asset. I pay no taxes because you can't tax a loan. And then I pay myself back over time. That's the advantage. Can you see why this is better? Versus what? What are the other options? We covered number 1, stick it in the bank. Let them basically pay me nothing and go get rich, and I just be completely a victim and I don't make anything on that transaction. What's the other one? I give it to Wall Street. Good. So what's the history and track record of Wall Street when you look at their ethics level? You go look at any movie about Wall Street, you're not going to see good things. I don't want to put money with them. The other one is you can keep overpaying on your tax return and give the money to good old Uncle Sam and then celebrate at the end of the year when he gives you back what was yours in the first place that he stole and paid you 0 interest on for an entire year. Those are all 3 really, really bad options. Okay, that's why I would do this. So the benefit to you on this is You have a real forced automated savings account. This is the first thing. If I'm not on a forced automated savings account, I'm not going to build wealth. Just like saying, if you don't own a car, you're not going on a road trip. If you don't have food, you're not going to eat dinner. If you don't save money, you're not going to invest. That's just how it works. You have to save money, and you should have it forced and automated. Why? Because the banks do it to you, Wall Street does it to you, and the IRS does it to you. Because it's that proven and that effective, you need to start doing it to yourself. Don't let them do it, and then you be the one that doesn't do it to yourself. It's the most effective way for you to set money aside. Okay, so it's going to put you on that. That's a benefit. The why is because that's going to happen no matter what now. It's a standard thing. Every month you're going to look and you're going to have more money saved, and you're not thinking about it. There's no discipline required. There's no behavior required because it's automatic. Okay, the other benefit is you're going to get more money than you get in the bank. You're getting growth. You're getting 3 to 5%. Right? You're getting more growth than you get at the bank. Right now, we're not calling this an investment. This is a savings vehicle. You're going to build it up until you're ready to invest. So you're not, I don't want you to compare, oh, but in my mutual fund, I can get, this isn't your mutual fund. Guess what? You could put it here, borrow against it, then go stick it in your mutual fund and earn 2% more a year on your mutual fund too. Do I think that's a great idea? No, I've never put money in a mutual fund, but this is not an investment. This is a store of value. It's going to replace a bank. It's going to replace Wall Street. It's going to replace where you save your money right now. It's not an investment. You want to talk investments? That's a different webinar. I can blow your mutual fund out of the water on that one. Right? So apples to apples, where do you currently save your money? And if you don't, start with this. If you do, and this is better, let's switch over to this. Okay, so you're earning more. That's a benefit to you. That means that your money works harder for you, and you don't have to worry about being loaned out and put at risk. You have all these protections. You know it's going to be safe. You've got security there. Right? You're also doing something that's proven as a top 1% tool. This is proven. When I studied, guys, it wasn't hard to figure out what do the top 1% invest in. Okay, themselves, their businesses, then real estate, then other people's businesses. That's it. Like I just cracked the code for top 1% investing. You first invest in yourself, then you invest in your business or your income, then you invest in real estate, then you invest in other people's businesses. That is the magic formula. Okay, so it wasn't hard to figure that out. Then I looked at their income. What do they do? Well, most of them are business owners or high-level executives. Okay, good. Or they're Congress, right? That's another conversation, right? But that's not hard to figure out. The one that was hard to figure out is where do they save? And what I kept coming back to was the life insurance thing. And I didn't want to see it and I didn't want to hear it because I was actually opposed to it. I was a Dave Ramsey endorsed local provider. I was indoctrinated completely against full life insurance. It's garbage. It's a devil. It's the worst product in the world. You know, it's the payday lender of the middle class. It's yada, 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 all this stuff. That's what I believed. And then I kept seeing it. And then I realized they actually do this. Walt Disney actually did this. Teddy Roosevelt actually did this. Like all this stuff is actually happening. My bank, they put 20% of their reserves in this. I bank with Bank of America. I have their balance sheet. It's posted online. They have $22 billion in cash value life insurance. The exact kind I'm telling you today. $22 billion, Bank of America, where I personally put my savings, right? And I only keep 1 month of cash with them. Everything else goes in here, right? But like that hits home. That's where I put my money. So when I give it to them, where do they put it? They put it in the life insurance. Guys, this isn't complicated. They're already doing it. Let's cut them out of the middle and we'll just do it. We get the benefits, right? So those are the benefits here. Now, this is going to fund your whole life. This is not retirement. We're not saying, you know, put your money away and wait till you're 60. Okay, so if I have consumer debt, let's say I have consumer debt, I can actually borrow from this today and pay off my debt. Right? I don't have to wait. I put money in immediately. I can borrow 70 to 90% of what I just put in, and it's going to do all the stuff I said I could pay off my debt. I can use that now. Okay, let's say that I am making a large purchase. Okay. I am making a large purchase. So I have, you know, a car or a down payment on a house or whatever. Good. I can borrow against my life insurance now to do this. I don't need to wait till I'm 60. I'm using it to fund my whole life now. Abundance and prosperity and all dynamics. Let's say that I want to just have money saved aside for reserve. I can put it there instead of the bank. I'm going to get better benefits. Okay. Let's say that I want to invest in real estate. Good. I can borrow against the life insurance now to invest in the real estate. I can use it now. I can build wealth today. I don't have to wait till I'm 60. right? So these are very important things. Is I want to have this there now. Okay, if I want to set up, college for my kid, I need to do, like, this is a big one. I talked with a client a couple of weeks ago, and they were like, yeah, we're doing college plans for our kids. And I was like, what if you don't have college? Like, what if they don't want to go? Well, I guess we'll pay penalties and taxes. Cool. So why would we lock money up and force them, like financially peer pressure them to go to college if they don't want to? Put it in the life insurance instead. You can use it for college. You can use it for a down payment on their house. You can use it to help with their wedding. You can use it to fund their business. You can use it for their retirement. You're not locking it up for one specific thing. When you go to college right now, there's a 51% chance you won't get a job in your degree field. So let's stop forcing kids to go to college and give them some options. Right? My little godson, Sammy, we're setting an account up for him. We're not like, hey, Sammy, you're going to go to college. We're like, hey, you're going to work, you're going to produce income, and then you're going to put some of that income into this, and then we're going to use this for different things that are going to help you. They're going to fund abundance, prosperity in your life too, right? So you can do it for that. You can do it for business. You can do it for so many things, but it's your banking system. Anything you would go get a loan from a bank for, anytime you would save money up with a bank, you would do it here instead. And by doing it here instead, you're in control of your finances. You're earning interest on your money. You're doing all the things I mentioned today. Right? Like I can't tell you just from like I guess I wouldn't say the word stress, maybe a stress standpoint. I don't experience it as stress, but just like worry, concern, and having attention on things. Guys, I don't worry about how the stock market did. I don't worry about when Wells Fargo commits fraud. I don't worry about, is my money going to be okay? Like, my savings are the last thing on my mind. Zero attention on it. Most people, like, I would say, you hear the savers are losers is a bad thing. What those gurus are trying to communicate is when people save things, whether it's leftover food or money, they go into constriction mode. They're like, oh, I need to protect this thing. I've got, leftover meatloaf in the fridge. I need to make sure I use it so it doesn't go bad because I don't want to waste it. Waste the meatloaf. You don't need to eat the food. If you don't want the food, don't eat the food. Same thing with the money. Oh, I've got some money in the bank and I need to make sure it's there and I need to check on it every day and I can't spend it, but I can't save it and it's burning a hole in my pocket. And what if this and what if that? And you end up doing nothing with it and it just sits there and rots and loses its value. It's gonna go bad anyways. Just like the meatloaf. You're gonna stick it in there, you know what's gonna happen. You're gonna come back next week and be like, oh, I forgot we had meatloaf. I need to throw it away now. You should have just thrown it away the minute you knew you weren't gonna eat it. The money, same thing. Don't stick it somewhere like a savings account. Put it to work. Let it grow. Let it do the thing it's intended to do. Okay, dollars are intended to do one thing, or actually two things only: to be exchanged for something else or to be put into a store of value. That's it. There's only two things dollars exist for: exchanged for something else, food, clothing, shelter, transportation, health, fun, education, gambling, drugs, whatever it might be. You exchange money for those things. Okay, or you put it into a store of value so that you can use it later. Just like food, you eat it now or you put it in the fridge so you can eat it later. If you leave it in the fridge too long, it will go bad and you will get to eat none of it. If you leave your money in the bank too long, it will go bad and you will not get to use it. The same principle applies, right? So what's our takeaway here? Okay, a couple of takeaways. We have a lot of interaction in the comments. I'm going to go ahead and answer some questions here. So one of the takeaways here should be, if you don't have a sacred account, you should have had one yesterday, right? If you want to sign up, get with Brianna, get with Rodrigo. I'm not going to pressure you to do something that's good for you. I learned that early in my career. Okay, as a personal trainer, actually, going to the gym is a good idea. Eating healthy is a good idea. If you don't want to, I'm not going to pressure you because that means something else, right? Like, you can't pressure someone if they need pressure to do something that's good for them. That's not a good indicator. Right? I shouldn't have to pressure someone to do something that's good for them. Okay, this is good for you. In fact, it's so good for you that the banks don't advertise it, yet they do it themselves. Right? So I'm not going to tell you, hey, you need to do this. If you think it's a good idea, do it. Set a call up with my team. Like, that's the point of today, is getting you going with that. Right? So I want to do a couple of things here. I do want to bring the book back up just for a minute. Again, we are offering a free copy of this. So if you go to the link here, this is going to be jerryfetta.com/B2F promo. Okay, you can get a free copy of the book. You just cover your shipping, right? So that's the first thing. right? And this is, again, like if you learned something from the webinar today, if this was valuable, the book's going to be even better. There's so much more, guys. I poured my heart and soul into this thing and really gave you everything that you need to have in order to build wealth, in order to build financial independence, right? Based on what I've learned from the top 1%, what I've applied in my own life, what I've applied with my clients. So grab the book if you haven't already. And then the second one is, if you would like help with this, schedule that free coaching call. Okay, schedule the call with Brianna, schedule the call with Rodrigo. They're mentors, they're coaches on my team. They're here to help you, to answer your questions, to give you guidance as you get things started, right? So that's a big important part of this, is actually taking it from knowledge, where we have this phrase, knowledge is power. It's actually not. It's potential power. It's not power if you don't use it, right? We all learned about in school, we learned about kinetic and stationary energy, right? Kinetic, it moves. Energy should move, not be stationary or stagnant, right? So knowledge is energy. If you don't use the knowledge, it has zero power, right? I just sit here on the webinar today. Awesome, cool. But what am I going to do with the information, right? So let me answer some questions in the chat here. So if you have questions, drop them in the chat and I will answer them. We can even mic up and go live if we have some time for this. And again, check your chat. Make sure you reach out to Rodrigo and Brianna. If you got a message from them, let them know, hey, I got your message. Here's my number. Let's set up a call. We've got a bunch of existing clients. Those of you that are existing clients, if you would like service, help, and direction, schedule with Rod and Brianna as well. Good. Let me see what we got here. Edward's first time. Edward, good to see you on. First time, hopefully not the last time. I would schedule a call, Edward, if you haven't already. Awesome. Mark got the book already. Perfect. So I'm trying to learn more about the sacred account. I want to get one. For the first time I heard about it, I told Jerry that I wanted one for me and would love to be able to get one for both parents and for children as well. I was trying to find a path, then got sacrificed by COVID, cost a bunch of money, left me in the hospital. Good. Okay, got it. So he's looking to get more information, absorb as much as possible. So there's a fine point between information and action, right? So it's an illustration or an analogy that I have. It's called being intellectually obese, right? I wouldn't keep filling my car up with gas if I wasn't planning to drive it. I would only fill it up with gas because I used the gas that was in it. Just like I wouldn't continue to eat if I hadn't burned calories. If I do that, I'm going to become fat. Financially, I shouldn't keep getting information if I don't intend to use it soon. And that doesn't mean, oh, I'm not going to use it, I should stop learning. It means I'm going to find a way to use it. I'm going to start putting it into action so I can keep learning and actually get more and more progress and results. So Jennifer had asked, I need to know what a sacred account is and how it works. So Jennifer, I hope we covered that in depth for you. Rodrigo or Brianna, if you want to reach out to Jennifer Bechtel, and you can set up a call with her and answer her questions. So the question is, the sacred account pays you interest on what money you put into it. What is the rate, weekly, monthly, compounding? Yep, so it pays you interest on your deposits. You get interest and also dividends in the growth of the company. That's paid annually. So that's, again, going to be about that 3 to 5% average rate over the long haul. Brain Growth's first webinar. Good to see you on, Brain. I hope you set up a call with Rodrigo and with Brianna. Good. Let me see if we have any other questions here. Is this similar to Olympic meta certificates? No, I don't think so. Yeah, so Jennifer, this is not the same as a meta certificate. I would definitely do a call with Rodrigo or Brianna to get more info on it. So we request, please do a webinar on mutual funds. We definitely could do that. Let's see here. Lots of good stuff in the comments. Crystal says, so here's a success story from Crystal. Crystal is a client of ours. I paid up my car loan with our first Sacred account. It took less than a year. Read, and listen. Sacred accounts is where it's at. That's so awesome, guys. So Crystal used the Sacred account to actually pay off her car. That's a real person in the webinar right now. Clemente, what are the potential risks to the Sacred account from your point of view? So it really is risk-free. It's guaranteed against loss, right? So there's not any risk with it. The things to be aware of is you're borrowing initially 70 to 90% of your deposits. That does increase as you put more in and over time. So, if you put in $1,000, you don't want to think, well, I'm going to pull out $1,000 and borrow against it. It's like, okay, I can pull out $700 to $900. And you'll know for sure when your account's designed. It'll be like, here's exactly how much you can borrow from day one. And here's how much it's going to increase by over time, right? So that's not a risk necessarily. That's more just how it works and understanding that. You also do have interest when you borrow. So again, not a risk. It's a normal thing, but you would want to know, okay, here's my payback strategy. So I'm not overpaying in interest. So those are the two main ones. And then also it is a contract. It's a committed forced savings plan. So you're committing, I'm going to put money into this. Yes, I can access it whenever I want to, and I've got control and all this stuff, but I do need to keep it going. Like I can't just quit and cancel, right? So those are the main things that I would say to be aware of, not necessarily as risks, but just as things you need to know about, right? Just like if I'm driving a car, I want to know how the car works before I get in sometimes. Great, Edwin set up a call with Rodrigo. That's perfect. Here's a good question. It's tied to life insurance. How difficult is it to qualify for the Sacred account? So this is a good question. You do need to go through medical underwriting. So not everybody gets this. So you have to go through an application process. So you're not immediately going to get one. So we will see if you apply and if you're approved, and we're going to help you with that process. So first things first is you do need to have an income. If I don't have an income, the insurance company is going to say, yeah, no, we don't want to do this. You need to have an income. Right? So I need to have income. That's the first qualification. Second one is I cannot be a criminal. Okay, if I have criminal activity, they're not going to do business with me. Again, they're making me a partner. So they're looking at my background. They want to know, like, do I have a criminal record? That's a big deal. The third one is, am I healthy? Do I have major significant medical history? And if I do, likely they're going to either not cover me or it's going to be really expensive. I'm going to have to do really high contributions. Right. So that doesn't mean I can't get covered, but it does mean that I could be the owner. I might need to find someone else to be the insured. Okay, those are the big ones. Obviously, if I have, psychological or mind-altering drugs, illegal drugs, substance abuse problems, like those are all things the insurance company is going to look at. And so those are things that can make or break whether or not they want to put coverage on me, just from the standpoint of I am setting up life insurance. Okay, good. Jennifer is getting a call set up. That's awesome. So guys, don't miss out on the call. So I've got to jump on my next meeting. I am going to sign out here. I'm going to leave Rodrigo and Brianna in charge of the chat here. So if you're still on and you would like to ask questions, you would like to network, you'd still like to set up an appointment, I'm going to leave the room open for you guys to do that. Again, grab a copy of the book, set up that appointment, and I want you guys to have a great weekend. Otherwise, I'll see you next time.